Hey everyone, welcome to Quantum Mind Hub Stories. Before we dive into this intense and heartfelt story, I'd love to hear your own thoughts, perspectives, and lessons learned in the comments section below. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with friends who love a good roller coaster of emotions. Alright, grab a comfy seat and let's get started. In the heart of a sun-baked African village, where the red dust of the earth bore stories of old, and the winds whispered secrets of generations past, Amina returned from a long day of tending her modest farm. As she pushed open the creaking wooden door of her humble home, her eyes widened in disbelief. There, sprawled across her neatly made matrimonial bed, lay a mysterious woman dressed in Amina's own faded, embroidered clothes. The air thickened with an unspoken tension as Amina's heart pounded like distant drums heralding an omen. "Who are you?" she demanded in a trembling yet determined voice. The stranger's eyes fluttered open briefly, revealing a haunting mix of fear and resignation before they closed again in sleep. In that charged moment, Amina felt an eerie chill run down her spine. Something wicked was at work, something that had invaded not only her sanctuary but her very identity. While the cicadas sang their monotonous tunes outside, inside the small, dimly lit room, a storm of emotions, confusion, betrayal, and an almost palpable sense of foreboding weaved together. Every corner of her home, once filled with the comforting aroma of simmering stew and the laughter of shared family moments, now whispered a dark, enigmatic warning. With no sign of her husband, whose presence was once the steady heartbeat of their lives, Amina's pulse quickened, her mind racing to connect the disparate threads of the surreal tapestry. The mysterious woman, with her silent, resigned countenance, was a living enigma. An unwanted visitor whose very existence threatened to unearth the buried secrets of the village. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the earth, Amina resolved in that fateful hour to uncover the truth behind this intrusion, even if it meant confronting the deep, murky roots of betrayal and ancient rituals that had long haunted her community. The whispers in the village began to stir almost immediately after Amina's discovery. As she stepped outside with the stranger still hidden in her room, the murmurs of curious neighbors swirled like an ominous dust storm around her. "This cannot be," they muttered, eyes wide with a mixture of shock and disbelief. Amina's husband, who had always been a pillar of silent support, was conspicuously absent, leaving behind a void that filled the atmosphere with tension. In the narrow, winding streets of the settlement, rumors spread rapidly like wildfire, igniting dry grass, fueled by old superstitions and the weight of ancestral lore. Determined to reclaim her honor and the sanctity of her home, Amina marched to confront him. At the edge of the bustling marketplace, under the shade of a gnarled baobab tree, she found him leaning casually against a weathered wall, his face inscrutable. "Where were you?" she demanded, her voice a blend of hurt and icy resolve. He feigned ignorance, insisting he had been attending to urgent matters in town, a feeble excuse that did nothing to douse the raging fire of her suspicion. His eyes darted away, betraying the secrets he held close. Meanwhile, the village elder, a venerable figure whose wizened face had witnessed many a sorrowful saga, whispered words of warning. "Some things are better left undisturbed." But Amina's spirit would not yield. The weight of uncertainty and the burden of hidden truths pushed her to lock the mysterious woman away for the time being, determined to unravel the complex web of deceit that had invaded her life. As dusk turned the sky into a canvas of deep blues and purples, the tension in the village grew, setting the stage for revelations that would soon shatter the fragile peace of their close-knit community. The following morning, with a steely determination glinting in her eyes, Amina inspected every inch of her home for clues. Amidst the scattered remnants of last night's chaos, she noticed an unusual mark on the stranger's back, a symbol that had been burned into her skin with an intensity that spoke of deliberate and ancient intent. This mark, resembling intricate lines and circles that whispered of old rites and forgotten deities, was unmistakably tied to an age-old fertility ritual known only to the village elders. With trembling fingers, Amina traced the burnt emblem, feeling an unsettling mixture of revulsion and intrigue. "This is no mere accident," she murmured to herself, her voice barely audible over the rhythmic tapping of rain on the tin roof. The symbol evoked memories of whispered legends, of ceremonies held under the ghostly light of the full moon, where sacrifices were made and destinies rewritten. Determined to confront this mystery head-on, she sought counsel from the village elder, who lived in a small hut on the edge of the settlement, steeped in the wisdom and warnings of countless years. As she approached his dwelling, The air around her felt charged with a supernatural energy. Inside, the elder's eyes shone with both pity and warning as he recounted the old lore. A fertility rite meant to ensure abundance, but at a terrible price, one that demanded the sacrifice of what was deemed unworthy. Your home has become the stage for an age-old feud, one that pits love against betrayal and duty against desire, he intoned gravely. With these words echoing in her ears, Amina felt both the crushing weight of impending doom and a fierce, burning resolve to delve deeper into the secrets entwined with her life. Her journey had just begun, and every step forward promised to reveal darker truths that would shake the very foundation of her existence. As the heavy shadows of dusk descended upon the village, Amina's investigation deepened, pulling her into a labyrinth of secrets and long-held grudges. The air was thick with foreboding as she retraced her steps from the previous night, questioning discreetly the elders and trusted friends about the mysterious woman and the ominous mark. "There is a truth buried beneath our very soil," an old woman whispered in hushed tones while stirring a pot of steaming maize porridge. "Secrets are not meant to be unearthed, for they carry curses beyond our imagining." Undeterred by the cryptic warnings, Amina took to the quiet corners of the village, listening to hushed conversations in the market, deciphering the anxious glances and knowing nods exchanged between neighbors. Her mind raced with fragmented pieces of the puzzle. A hidden ritual, the barren status of another woman, and a legacy of jealousy that had festered in silence for generations. Determined to understand the connection between the strange symbol and the lives of those around her, she embarked on a solitary quest, venturing into the outskirts where ancient trees loomed like silent sentinels over forgotten paths. As the night grew darker, she recalled the elders' solemn words, "Some things are better left undisturbed," and yet the injustice seared into her heart propelled her forward. Amina's internal struggle was palpable, a battle between the instinct to preserve the peace and the burning need to seek justice for the wrongs inflicted upon her and her community. In the stillness of that somber night, the very winds seemed to carry voices of the past, urging her to unravel the mystery, even if it meant confronting painful truths about love, betrayal, and the sacrifice of innocence. Every step she took was a dance with destiny, a bold stride into the abyss of secrets that threatened to consume her very soul. The tension reached a fever pitch the day the mysterious woman stirred, her eyes flickering open to reveal a soul heavy with regret and sorrow. "I was brought here to replace the barren one," she confessed in a voice that was both broken and resigned, sending shivers down Amina's spine. The revelation hit Amina like a thunderclap. The woman's words resonated with the painful echoes of ancient disputes and personal vendettas. In a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the room fell silent except for the steady drip of rain from the eaves. "Replace me?" Amina echoed, her voice laced with disbelief and a burgeoning anger. The confession unveiled a sinister plot orchestrated by forces hidden in the shadows of the village's collective memory, a plan designed to usurp the natural order of things and to enforce a cruel cycle of sacrifice. Amina's mind flashed back to the old legends of a fertility ritual that had once been a revered tradition, now twisted into a mechanism of control and exploitation. The revelation was as painful as it was shocking, igniting a fierce determination within her to uncover every thread of this intricate web of deceit. As the mysterious woman recounted the tale of being forced into this macabre role, Amina's heart broke for her captive spirit, yet her resolve hardened. "I will not allow this injustice to stand," she vowed, her words imbued with the strength of a warrior and the grief of a betrayed heart. The weight of betrayal, the sting of deception, and the harsh reality of the ancient curse merged into a singular force within her, a force that would drive her to seek the truth no matter the cost, even if it meant facing the darkest corners of the village's past and her own shattered dreams. Determined to uncover the source of the corruption that had invaded her life, Amina turned her suspicions toward the village midwife, a woman whose hands had long been trusted to usher new life into the world and heal the wounds of old. Rumors had long swirled around the midwife, whispers of unethical practices and secret alliances that blurred the lines between care and manipulation. With a heavy heart and a mind sharpened by betrayal, Amina began to discreetly question those who had once revered the midwife's gentle ministrations. In hushed conversations over cups of bitter herbal tea, old women revealed that the midwife had been forging fertility tests, fabricating results that served as the backbone of an elaborate deception. She was bribed by someone close, one woman confided, her voice trembling with both fear and resignation. Each piece of testimony painted a damning picture of collusion and corruption. A conspiracy that intertwined the fate of women in the village with the machinations of a secretive cabal intent on controlling fertility for their own gain. Amina's discovery ignited a burning desire for justice. Every lie uncovered, every fraudulent test exposed, intensified her determination to dismantle the network of deceit that had long preyed upon the vulnerable. In the privacy of her modest dwelling, surrounded by the relics of her life, a few cherished photographs, a worn family heirloom, and the lingering aroma of home-cooked meals, she began to compile the evidence with painstaking care. Her resolve was unyielding. The midwife's betrayal was not just a personal affront, but a symptom of a larger rot that had seeped into the very soul of the village. With every whispered confession and every incriminating detail, Amina edged closer to a truth that threatened to unravel the very fabric of her community, setting the stage for a reckoning that would leave no one untouched. Amidst the mounting revelations and simmering tensions, Amina's suspicion inevitably turned toward her husband. His evasiveness and the dark secrets that began to surface painted him in a sinister light, a man who had once been her partner now cloaked in deception. Unable to ignore the gnawing doubts any longer, Amina embarked on a covert pursuit of her husband's clandestine affairs. For days, she followed him discreetly through the labyrinthine alleys and bustling market squares of the village, her eyes sharp and her heart pounding with both trepidation and determination. Her pursuit led her to a secluded part of town, where a nondescript, weathered house hid behind thick, drooping vines and crumbling stone walls. There, in the secrecy of twilight, Amina witnessed the shocking truth. Her husband was not the loyal provider she had always believed him to be. Instead, he maintained a second home. A parallel existence filled with laughter, false promises, and the quiet despair of a woman who, like Amina, had been deceived. The sight of him sharing tender moments with this other woman, their voices soft with intimacy and betrayal, was a blow that shattered the remnants of her trust. "How could you?" she whispered to herself in anguish, the echo of her own words reverberating like a curse. The realization was as bitter as the cola nut's taste and as piercing as the sharpest thorn on the acacia tree. In that moment, every lie he had told, every whispered excuse, coalesced into undeniable proof of his duplicity. The revelation forced Amina to confront the painful truth: the man she had once loved was at the very center of this web of deception. A man whose betrayal was not just a personal failing but a pivotal piece of a far more sinister puzzle that was poised to consume their lives. Her heart, though battered and scarred, began to beat with a fierce determination. A promise that she would seek justice, not just for herself but for every soul wronged by the corruption that had infiltrated the very heart of her family. As Amina pieced together the fragments of deception and betrayal, a dark thread began to emerge from the shadows, a thread that led her to the hidden depths beneath her own home. Late one restless night, driven by equal parts desperation and courage, she discovered a concealed entrance beneath a creaking, time-worn floorboard. With trembling hands and a mind racing with a mix of fear and resolve, she descended into the abyss below, a secret chamber that had been shrouded in mystery and concealed for generations. The air grew heavy as she navigated the narrow, winding steps that spiraled into darkness. At the bottom, what she found defied all reason: a secret shrine bathed in the flickering glow of candlelight, adorned with relics of ancient rituals and symbols that pulsed with a forbidden power. The room was an altar of secrets, a hidden space where desperate men had been promised prosperity and success in exchange for unspeakable sacrifices. Here, the promise of wealth and fertility had been twisted into a perverse contract, where wives were offered up as tokens in dark bargains. Each object and symbol in that hidden chamber told a story of longing, greed, and manipulation, a story that linked the fate of the village's women to the clandestine rituals orchestrated by a shadowy cabal. Amina's heart pounded furiously as she surveyed the macabre altar, realizing that her husband's betrayal was but one piece of a larger, insidious puzzle. Every secret ritual, every hidden sacrifice was a testament to a system designed to strip women of their dignity and autonomy. "This is monstrous," she whispered in agony, her voice echoing off the cold stone walls. With evidence now in her trembling hands, Amina felt a surge of righteous fury. A determination to expose the dark underbelly of the society that had once promised protection but now thrived on exploitation and deceit. In that clandestine space, amidst relics of ancient corruption, she vowed that no injustice would go unpunished. The annual village festival, once a time of jubilant celebration and communal unity, now loomed as the stage for Amina's ultimate act of defiance and revelation. In the weeks that had followed her discoveries, the festival had taken on a somber air, its vibrant colors and festive music now marred by whispers of scandal and suspicion. With every passing day, Amina had amassed a dossier of damning evidence, a tapestry woven with threads of lies, ritualistic symbols, and clandestine encounters that bound her husband and the corrupt midwife to the hidden shrine beneath her home. As the festival day dawned bright and clear, the entire village gathered in the central square, their faces a mixture of curiosity and unease. With a quiet confidence and a heart hardened by betrayal, Amina stepped onto the makeshift stage, the murmurs of the crowd falling silent in anticipation. Today, she proclaimed in a clear, resolute tone that resonated across the gathered masses, the truth will be laid bare. She presented her evidence one piece at a time, photographs, relics from the shrine, and the confession of the mysterious woman, each revelation a strike against the oppressive forces that had long ruled over them. Shocked gasps and cries of disbelief rippled through the crowd as Amina methodically unspooled the tale of deceit, sacrifice, and hidden rituals. Her voice, steady and unwavering, challenged every lie and demanded accountability from those who had exploited the vulnerable. The moment was electric, a culmination of months of silent suffering and relentless pursuit of justice. In that heart-stopping instant, the fabric of the village's facade of harmony began to tear, exposing the festering corruption at its core. The people, their emotions laid bare, oscillated between anger, sorrow, and a desperate yearning for change. With the truth now a blazing beacon, the village would never be the same again, and the dark forces that had long held sway were now forced into the light of retribution. In the wake of the explosive revelations at the festival, the winds of change swept through the village with an intensity that left nothing untouched. As shock and anger reverberated through every alley and homestead, the corrupt forces that had once thrived in the shadows found themselves cornered and exposed. Amina, once a quiet, hard-working wife, now stood as a symbol of courage and unyielding determination. Her journey had transformed her into a beacon of resistance against an ancient system of injustice. A system that had sacrificed love and honor for the sake of perverse rituals and unchecked power. In the days that followed the festival, the village elders convened in solemn assemblies, grappling with the weight of the evidence that Amina had so fearlessly presented. A collective reckoning began to take shape as the community sought to purge itself of the long-standing corruption that had tainted its roots. Amina's husband was publicly shamed and exiled from the very place he had once called home. His betrayal etched into the annals of the village's history as a cautionary tale. The midwife, whose complicity had fed the dark rituals, was stripped of her position and left to face the scorn of those she had deceived. In a powerful twist of destiny, Amina was appointed as a council leader, a role that carried both the honor of authority and the heavy responsibility of mending the community's fractured soul. With empathy for those who had suffered and a steely resolve to prevent further exploitation, she opened a center for women's protection, where stories of pain could be healed and justice restored. The village, though scarred by betrayal and loss, began to find a new rhythm, a dance of hope emerging from the ashes of a tainted past. The old rituals, once wielded as weapons of control, were slowly replaced by traditions that celebrated resilience, unity, and the boundless strength of the human spirit. As the seasons changed and the bitter memories of betrayal gradually softened into determined resolve, Amina's Center for Women's Protection became a sanctuary, a beacon of hope for those who had long suffered in silence. Under her watchful guidance, the center thrived as a space where stories of pain and triumph intermingled, forging a community bound by shared struggle and unyielding strength. Women gathered daily, a thatched roof, their voices rising in a chorus of solidarity as they recounted tales of injustice and celebrated small victories. In these humble meetings, ancient songs of resilience were sung and time-worn proverbs were invoked to remind everyone that even the deepest wounds could eventually heal. Amina herself became both a mentor and a fierce advocate, her own scars a testament to the price of silence and the power of truth. "We must not let the darkness of our past dim the light of our future," she would say, her eyes alight with a fire that inspired those around her. Over time, the center not only provided refuge but also became a hub for education and empowerment, offering workshops on traditional crafts, legal rights, and even small-scale entrepreneurship, all designed to rebuild lives shattered by betrayal. The community, having weathered the storm of deceit and ancient rituals, slowly learned to trust in the promise of new beginnings. Each shared smile, each tear shed in unison, wove a tapestry of resilience that spoke to the timeless spirit of the village. The echo of Amina's unwavering determination resonated far beyond the protective walls of her center, inspiring neighboring communities to stand up against long-held injustices. In the gentle cadence of everyday life, the painful legacy of the past was gradually transformed into a powerful narrative of recovery and renewal, a narrative that celebrated the indomitable human spirit and the triumph of justice over tyranny. Yet, even as the village began to heal, the scars of betrayal and the remnants of ancient rituals lingered like shadows at the edges of every celebration. In quiet moments and stolen glances, villagers recalled the dark days when secrets were concealed beneath layers of tradition and fear. Amina, now at the helm of change, found herself haunted by memories of that fateful day when the stranger had first appeared in her bed. A day that had irrevocably altered the course of her life. Late at night, under a vast African sky punctuated by countless shimmering stars, she would reflect on the cruel irony of fate. The very symbols that had once invoked reverence for life had been twisted into instruments of subjugation, and the echoes of whispered incantations still reverberated in the corners of her mind. How did we come to accept such darkness as normal? She would wonder, her heart aching with both sorrow and determination. In those moments, the weight of responsibility pressed upon her shoulders, but so too did the promise of a brighter future. Determined to honor the memory of every life affected by the old ways, Amina organized community gatherings where the villagers could share their stories, mourn their losses, and rebuild their bonds. Elder women, once silenced by fear, now spoke with quiet strength about the need to reclaim their narratives and redefine tradition in a way that celebrated life rather than exploited it. The dialogue was raw and painful, yet in that shared vulnerability lay the seeds of transformation. The community began to dismantle the old rituals, replacing them with celebrations that honored the cycles of nature, the strength of sisterhood, and the enduring resilience of the human heart. Each step forward was a tribute to those who had suffered and a defiant stand against the forces that had once threatened to tear their world apart. As the village embraced a new era defined by transparency and communal strength, unexpected alliances began to form between former adversaries. Men who had once quietly benefited from the clandestine rituals now recognized the need for change and joined forces with the women to restore balance to their society. Amina's leadership, once seen as a solitary beacon of resistance, blossomed into a collective movement that sought to redefine the community's values from the ground up. In a stirring council meeting held beneath the ancient baobab tree, a living witness to countless generations, voices once silenced now spoke freely about the need for reform. We must build a future where every woman is valued and every truth is honored, Amina declared passionately. Her words met with resounding cheers and solemn nods. The atmosphere was electric with the promise of renewal, yet the ghosts of the past still lingered. Some elders, steeped in tradition and wary of change, cast uncertain glances at the bold declarations. But even they could not deny the transformative power of unity and the undeniable evidence of injustice laid bare. With a mix of trepidation and hope, the community began to weave new rituals, ones that celebrated both the wisdom of the past and the promise of the future. In these newly forged traditions, the ancient symbols were reinterpreted as emblems of strength rather than instruments of oppression. The men, learning to express their emotions and accept accountability, and the women, emboldened by their newfound solidarity, together embarked on the arduous journey of healing. Their combined efforts sparked a renaissance of cultural pride and mutual respect, and slowly, the wounds inflicted by generations of deceit began to mend. The village, once a battleground of hidden sins, transformed into a vibrant tapestry of shared heritage, progressive thought, and the unyielding determination to rise above a dark legacy. Months turned into seasons, and as time wove its gentle tapestry over the village, a palpable shift in energy and perspective became evident in every corner of life. The transformation was not without its challenges, but the community's commitment to change was stronger than the lingering embers of past transgressions. Amina, with the scars of betrayal etched deeply upon her soul, now found solace in the collective progress they had achieved. The Center for Women's Protection had grown into a thriving institution that not only offered sanctuary and education but also became a hub for cultural preservation. Here, ancient songs, dances, and oral histories were revived and reinterpreted to reflect a future built on justice and equality rather than fear and subjugation. Every gathering was a celebration of resilience. Every shared laugh a defiant retort to the tragedies of the past. Neighbors who had once exchanged only wary glances now greeted each other with warmth and hope. Even the market, once a stage for whispered rumors of scandal, buzzed with an air of renewed purpose. "We are reclaiming our story," Amina would say, her voice soft yet filled with unwavering conviction, as she oversaw the planning of community events that highlighted both the lessons of history and the promise of tomorrow. The streets, lined with thatched roofs and sun-baked clay walls, resonated with a vibrant energy, one that spoke of unity, progress, and the relentless human spirit. In the collective heartbeat of the village, the old rituals lost their sinister hold, replaced by traditions that honored life, love, and justice. As the village celebrated another festival, this time with a newfound sense of pride and inclusivity, the echoes of past betrayals faded into distant memories, leaving behind a legacy defined by strength, renewal, and the triumph of truth. In the final reckoning of a saga marked by betrayal, mystery, and the relentless pursuit of justice, Amina emerged as a symbol of defiance and rebirth, a woman who had transformed personal pain into a catalyst for communal healing. With her husband exiled and the dark cult of ancient rituals dismantled, the village now stood on the precipice of a new era. In a stirring final address at the community center, Amina recounted her journey. A path laden with heartbreak, betrayal, and the bitter taste of deceit, yet also illuminated by hope, resilience, and the unwavering determination to rise above adversity. "Our story is not one of defeat," she proclaimed, her voice echoing with passion and conviction, but one of redemption and rebirth. The room fell silent as each listener absorbed the raw truth of her words, feeling the weight of every sorrow and the lightness of every victory. In that moment, the scars of the past were honored not as marks of shame but as reminders of the strength that comes from overcoming unimaginable odds. The community's renewed spirit was palpable, a living testament to the fact that even in the darkest nights, hope can be found. As the final embers of the old order flickered out, a resounding call for change swept through the gathering, a call to cherish truth, to honor each other, and to safeguard the future from the shadows of corruption. For every viewer, every friend, and every neighbor, Amina's story was a rallying cry. Like, subscribe, share this video, and comment your thoughts and lessons learned. Let our voices join in solidarity as we forge a future where justice reigns and every heart beats with the promise of a brighter tomorrow.